Hey guys, welcome to the meet and greet. I'm Monty. I'm here currently in the heart of Shepherd Bush, or as some might call it, Shebu. Very well. Shebu. Yes. We are honoured today to be joined by the fantastic Myles Kennedy to discuss his upcoming album, The Art of Letting Go. Myles, how rock and roll is that?
I kind of rock and roll, I guess. I try to be rock and roll. I have my rock and roll shoes on with skulls.
Very nice.
That it looks like I lost a bet, but but anyways, no, it's great to be here. It's Shebu.
It's Shebu. And apart from brilliant shoes aside, obviously this album that is out next month is astronomically brilliant.
Wow, thanks.
And I just want to hear a little bit about the fruition of the album, how it all came into play and to become what it is.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at the schedule, saying to myself, well, I see a window and I don't want there to be too much time to hang out. Otherwise, I could end up in jail. That's not true. Yeah, I just wanted to write a record and make a solo record that was, this time around, a rock record. The first record was an acoustic record, Year of the Tiger. Ides March it rocked, but it was more like southern rock and definitely had a country vibe at times. And this one I just want to be, plug in, turn up loud, turn up the gain, and play some riffs and sing over the top.
Yeah, well, you can definitely hear it in there. You've got some absolutely thundering riffs going on, which are a pleasure to hear. And kind of diving straight into the songwriting aspect of it, was it very much a kind of a solo journey? Do you write when you're on the road? Get into the studio, jam and get inspired? What was this process like?
Yeah, I'm paranoid of getting in the studio and not having a record written, so that will never happen. With me, if I know I'm going to be in the studio at the end of the year, I start the writing process, a good 10 months prior, just so that we have plenty to choose from. I have nightmares of going into a studio situation, the producer going, okay, let's hear the songs, and wow, we're going to write them in the studio. The idea of writing in the studio is a daunting task. So yeah, it was something that I just knew there was a window of time to do it, to make it, and then also the best part is that I could take it out and tour it, and have plenty of lane to go out with my mates and play around the world.
Yeah, I bet there's no feeling like it.
Nothing like it. It's
Nothing like it. Yeah. And throughout your career, whether it's solo work or your collaborations, what I've always, and many have always admired, are your lyrics are constantly, they're raw and honest and open, but with that signature Myles Kennedy punch to them. Did you draw from anything new for this record?
That's a good question. I didn't want it to be a concept record like the first two solo records where there's a congruent theme. So this is a collection of songs. I'm trying to remember. Well, you know what? It's interesting. There was a theme at the last song called How the Story Ends, which was inspired by a film that it's dark. And they're doing a remake of it right now that I think is coming out very soon. But it was a film, I think from, I want to say it was somewhere in Europe. Like we had the subtitles and the whole bit in the U.S. It's called Speak No Evil, and it's great.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Film. It's dark and twisted, but what I love about that movie is there's a moral to the story that I needed to hear that really spoke to me. So that manifested itself in that last track, How the Story Ends, and it's basically the idea of standing up for yourself. I'm a people pleaser to a fault sometimes, and that often ends not well, because people can take advantage of you. So that movie did a brilliant job of conveying, what can happen if you don't, have a backbone.
Yeah.
Not saying that I don't have a backbone, but
no, it's all rock and roll.
But, it sounded weird.
Never, no, not at all. And so coming even from that and from the way you speak about it, it sounds like it's just been a brilliant journey for you. So you've done the writing, the recording, mixed, mastered, you've got the final thing.
Yeah.
What was it like hearing that first playback, just all the way through?
It's good. For me, the best part is when you get those mixes back initially and you play it on various, you listen to it with headphones, you go out in your car and you turn it up. It's great because you've documented the idea and now it's hopefully going to be around when you're gone. You know, there's something about that I find a certain solace in. It's just like, okay, you've documented that, and that batch of tunes now is out in the, you know, it's in the universe, and that's a good feeling. But then you're off to the, you know, what's the next thing going to be? And as somebody who likes creating more than just about anything, I love touring, I love performing, but creating and being in the studio is such a rush. It's you know, I'm always looking for that next goosebump, or even, you know, just welling up with tears when something's really good. You know, I kind of I try to keep that sensitivity, because as a creative person, as a songwriter, I need to keep that there, not numb it, right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons I don't really do much partying or anything, because I really need those, that part of my persona to be in full effect, so that when I create, you know, it's I can trust my filter, if you know what I'm saying, where I'm not getting fooled. Like it's something back in the day when I used to party a little bit here and there, you get tricked. You think, oh, that's really great, or something that you might miss something. But now it's just really all about being present and just being hyper aware of everything that's going on, and taking it in and manifesting in the songs.
So that clarity really lends itself to the music.
It's all about clarity at this point, yeah.
Yeah. And so when you listen to these playthroughs, do you have a ritual that you do? I remember hearing Dave Grohl likes to listen to them in the car, you know, because apparently it gets that full effect. Do you have any ritual that you do to get the Myles Kennedy tick off?
The car's a big one. Yeah, the car's a good one. I think that's, I would agree with Dave on that one.
Yeah.
Go take in your car, go for a spin, and sometimes I'll work out with it, see if it helps me lift. Instead of being able to lift 5 pounds, I might be able to lift 6 pounds.
Yeah, if you add 5 kg on there, it's a good track.
Right. Yeah. Also, I'll play it for friends, and just, you know, what do you think of this? And just because at that point you get too close to it. You know, you've heard it 1,000 times, so it's nice to get that outside perspective. But yeah, I think car is the way to go. That's number one.
Yeah, you heard it here many times. Dave Grohl, Myles Kennedy, it's the way to go. And so when are we gonna hear the music live? When is that all kicking off?
We're gonna start, we're gonna bring it across the pond at the end of October. And we start in Germany, I believe, and then we'll be over here a few weeks later. I think we wrap up in like December over here, and I'm excited. Yeah, now I've got to, when this whole press run's done, I got to go home and just start woodshedding, you know, and just practice day in and day out. Try to remember all the lyrics. That's the thing with me, is this damn lyrics. It's like I've made enough records over the last few decades where now there's just not enough room for the songs. So just a lot of practice, just repetition. Yeah.
And then you'll come back and give us all an early Christmas present.
I'm gonna try.
With a tour around.
I'm gonna try. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ho ho ho.
Yeah. Well, we're so excited for you guys to be back over once you head there, and then come back and give us a really good tour. We'll all be there. Do you ever look at, I mean, like you said, you've been doing this for decades, you have worked with some incredible people, you've been touring almost continuously, it must feel like. Do you still, you know, when you see a tour schedule, itinerary, press, do you still nowadays look at it and go, you know, holy shit, that's a lot of work? Or are you more you're in the motion, you know what's coming, you know what's happening?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. But at the same time, I don't know what else I do. So it's interesting, because it's like you'll see it and be like, oh, that's a lot. I'm gonna be gone a lot. And so, you know, there's that side of it where you're like, oh, I'm gonna be away from my family, and that's hard. But then there's the part of me that's like, but I get to play music. And I don't ever forget how long it took me to get to a point where that was a constant. You know, after a long time, I wasn't sure when the phone would stop ringing, you know, and it was like, when's this party over? And the fact that it's funny because really up until about, I don't know, 8 years ago, I still was thinking it was all going to end. Until I had a friend once that was like, hey, you do realize you can probably do this now as long as you want. You're going to be okay. And I was like, really? I honestly didn't see it. I was just like, oh, this could all be over. And so I got to take this tour. I got to do this, I just got to stay out there and keep rolling. But now I feel really super comfortable. It's kind of like foundation's been set up, and now it's just a matter of just rolling along and enjoying it. And that's part of what the art of letting go is about. That's part of where that title comes from, is I'm at this stage in life now where I really just want to take it all in, be present. That's the word I keep using. I don't take any of it for granted, and just savor every freaking minute.
Yeah, and it's such a pleasure to hear you say that, because from the outset you've got all your fandom and so much the industry. You are incredibly respected in the industry, so to hear you say that it's an absolute pleasure. And coming off of that, like I said, you've had this and you're having this fantastic career, and you're at the stage with the art of letting go where you can finally let go and say, okay, wait, I'm here and this is good. What advice would you give to emerging band songwriters who want to tread that path, and the kind of the catharticism that comes with it, and the work, and what would you say? Yeah,
well, if I was to talk to young me, I would say, first of all, I would ask, how bad do you want this? That is a very important question to ask out of the gate, because it's a very different lifestyle, and it's a very it can be very challenging, and there are a lot of ups and downs. I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but there are, and you got to be prepared for that. And once you've answered that question, if you're like, I want it really bad, I really want to express myself, and also do it. What are the reasons you want to do it? Like, do you want fame? Do you want is it about financial gains, material possessions you could get? If that's your MO, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would advise going down. There are other things you can do.
Banking.
Yeah, exactly. But if you touched on it, if there's some catharsis you need, if you really want to be heard, and you have something you want to say, and you feel like there are people out there that want to hear that would help them in their life, or ultimately if you just love music so freaking much you can't imagine life without it. And the other thing for me was, I had a teacher say this once, is you make music not because you want to, but because you have to. And that for me was a really big question to ask, and realize that I had to do it. So once you have to do it, and you have to do it, just be aware of the amount of work that's going to go into it. And a lot's changed since I was starting out in the game. It's not the way it was, but there's a lot of noise to cut through. The internet's a big, vast place, and there are a lot of people. But I do believe, and I've seen this time and time again, the cream eventually rises to the top. If you have something that other people find compelling, eventually it will find its way. And somebody told me that like 25 years ago, and I really didn't believe. I was like, really? And I was kind of like pessimistic and like, oh man, the odds are stacked against you. There's no way. That was that guy. And this person said this. It was just in a passing thing. It was at a festival once. Somebody I met for all of 3 minutes, and she liked the record I was a part of putting out. It was a Mayfield 4 record. And I think about that conversation a lot. I'm just kind of like, wow. So I'm going to say that now. Like, eventually, if you have something that people find compelling, enough people find compelling, you might be surprised 25 years later the story you'll tell.
Yeah.
You just gotta believe in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it will, all the people, like you say, if you want it, you've got the talent, you've got the work ethic, and you believe in yourself. Yeah, I mean, you are the living example of that. And obviously with, you mentioned the cream of the crop that make it to the top, and I know your roster of who you've worked with. I mean, come on, it's just absolutely fantastic. But my question is, because this is the meet and greet show, are there any musicians, bands, or just figures in the industry that you would want to go meet and greet backstage? Anyone that you haven't yet worked with or met?
Oh, geez. So there's so many. Oh man, I don't even know where to start. And people ask this question, I always draw a blank. Who would I want to meet and greet? I would like. Well, I've never met. I would like to meet Sting.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah. The Police were like a big thing for me growing up. I like Sting. I did get to meet Devin Townsend recently. That was great. I think he's extremely talented. And we're touring together soon, which I'm stoked about. I'm totally drawing a blank. I feel like I've met kind of everybody I ever. That's part of the problem is that I honestly feel like, gosh, pretty much all the boxes are checked.
It's not a bad problem to have.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It really is crazy when you ask that question, and I honestly can't think of it because I'm like, well, yeah, I got to meet that person. Yeah, I got to jam with that person. Like, how did this all happen? Yeah. So maybe Sting.
Well, maybe next time if we do this again, and you'll say, well, Sting's good, so we've done that. Yeah.
Hey.
So what is next? What is coming up? And we have also another question rolling into that. A few of the fans have asked, will you be working with Slash again?
So what's next is a lot of touring for this. There's a nice clear lane for once with my solo stuff. I got a nice runway to really go out and promote this. So I'm really, really stoked about that. And as far as Slash, we're trying to figure that out with everybody's schedules. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I love making music, and it's hard to believe. And we just did that tour a few months ago. We did like 4 or 5 months, toured all over the world, minus the US. And it was crazy because we all just had the epiphany. We're like, we've been doing this for 15 years. It's nuts. It's crazy. Oh, I know one person, Elton John.
Elton John. There
Elton
we
John.
go. Yes.
Elton John.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it, please.
Let's make it happen.
I was thinking the whole time, like, oh, I totally botched that question.
That is a brilliant one. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for speaking with us. And that is the note that we're going to end on, Elton John. Thank you so much, Myles Kennedy.
You.
It's been brilliant. The Art of Letting Go is out next month, and we're so looking forward to you coming over back to the UK to tour.
I'm stoked. I can't wait.
Thank you very
Yay!
much. Thank you.
Amazing.